You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
Good evening. The Muddlarks drama group proudly present The Bone of Doom, a Prestin mystery in 10 episodes. Episode 10. In last week's episode, Shirley Hames, her sister Martha and Inspector Lestrange had worked out that the mysterious inscription on the piece of paper found in the bone referred to the wreck of the Richard Montgomery, and that someone was planning to blow it up at midnight.
That's very interesting. You're sure of that? Good. Keep me posted. Yes, on this number. If anything else comes through, I'm coming back up to London tomorrow afternoon. Yes? Thank you, Sergeant.
Is there any news yet?
We've contacted the Sheerness Police, and it seems that the Coast Guard were already keeping an eye on a small boat anchored near to the wreck. Apparently, it's quite a good spot for fishing, but they don't like people getting too close. It all seemed perfectly normal. But when they checked, I think half an hour ago, it looked as though it had moved to be practically over the top of the wreck. The Coast Guard went out to investigate, and they found your cousin tied up below deck.
Is Cora all right?
She doesn't appear to have any injuries. She's been brought back to shore and taken to local hospital for a check-up.
What about the boat?
There is a bomb in the engine room. It looks like it's on a timer. The UXB squad should be there in the next 40 minutes.
Can't the Coast Guard just tow the boat away from the wreck?
Not straight away. They have to check underneath it, because there might be more explosives rigged to detonate if the anchor is raised.
Don't worry, Preston. At least Cora's safe. Was Crinkle with her?
Crinkle?
Cora's cat.
There was a cat, yes. Looked as though it'd been trying to gnaw through the rope that your cousin was tied up with.
Can we do anything, Inspector?
There isn't much that you can do, except get a good night's sleep. Miss Bunkle is safe and unharmed. It's down to the bomb disposal squad now.
What about Parker and that Falfatine woman?
Parker's confessed that he came down to Margate 2 days ago. He'd already told Falfatine that you were coming down yesterday, so she got him to set everything up, hiding the clues and even deliberately letting slip to Madame Rosa when you would be here.
So Madame Rosa wasn't in on it?
No. Obviously she recognised you from the photograph in the papers, and she overheard you talking outside her tent.
But she said that someone close to me was in danger, and that I'd come to her for help. How could Madame Rosa have known about Cora?
She put two and two together from the conversation she overheard between you and the ice cream seller, and Mrs. Roberts, when she came to tell you about getting in touch with Miss Maple.
What about that clue that was written on the back of the tarot card?
When Parker saw Madame Rosa, he made a mental note of the pattern on the backs of the tarot cards, and either forged a duplicate or was able to get hold of a duplicate pack.
But he wouldn't have been able to change the cards over. He couldn't be in two places at once.
Madame Rosa said that she had given a tarot reading to a woman about an hour before I got there.
That's what she's told us under caution, but she couldn't give us that description.
Falfatine!
It's possible, but we haven't been able to trace the woman's movements, either before or after she'd seen the fortune teller.
What about that note in the bone?
The local police are holding Monsieur Pochard overnight. I'll be questioning him in the morning. Obviously, as he made the compartment in the bone, he's a prime suspect for putting the note about the Montgomery in it. But it's possible that someone else was responsible. Hopefully we'll be able to sort it out tomorrow.
Can I let Jean and Penny know that Cora is safe?
Of course, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't say anything about the bomb just yet. It'd be hard enough stopping the press getting hold of the story, but if you can keep quiet until everything's been made safe.
I understand.
How about ringing Jean and suggesting she and Penny come down here tomorrow?
What a lovely day. I can't remember the last time I came to Margate. Thanks for treating us to lunch, Shirley.
Has Inspector Lestrange told you any more? Was Falfatine behind it all?
They haven't been able to find Falfatine yet, so it's all a bit of a guess. but from what they've got out of Parker, it seems that blowing up the Richard Montgomery had been planned some time ago. It took a while to get everything organised without arousing suspicion. Parker drove John to Euston Station, and apparently John mentioned something about how he'd been looking forward to spending a few weeks in Margate. But he was having to go back up to Scotland, and of course it was Parker who drove us to Victoria Station.
But why kidnap Cora?
Perhaps to try and take some sort of revenge.
How did Falfertine know that Cora is your cousin?
Inspector Lestrange thinks that Falfertine would have heard about the Fanshawe case from the papers.
Shirley had a letter from Cora telling her all about how her cat Crinkle had solved the crime and saved the day and is now as famous as Preston.
From what Parker has said, it seems someone from Falfertine's gang went to Cora's house yesterday morning to kidnap her, but she'd already gone to catch the train. By the time they got to the station, Cora's train had already left.
How did they catch up with her?
They telephoned Parker and he collected her at Paddington.
The Admiralty car driver?
Yes, all he had to do was look out for a woman carrying a cat basket and say that John had sent him to collect her.
So it was Parker that sent the telegram from the Paddington post office?
That's what the inspector thinks. And it was probably Parker that sent the special delivery letter.
That's why he was so impatient for you to get going yesterday. Your train went at 10:30 and the letter was sent at 10:35.
I hope that the police catch Falfertine. Who knows what she might try next?
Oh, it doesn't bear thinking about. All those people on Sheppey and up in the estuary.
Do you think that sculptor is one of Falfertine's gang?
He made that clockwork bone. How else would Falfertine have known about the secret compartment?
But he was completely surprised and very upset that the bone was missing.
We saw a man wearing a thick coat coming out of Madame Rosa's tent just before I went in, but she said that the last person she saw before me was a woman.
Maybe the man's a spy, and the fortune teller was protecting his identity, and he's working with the sculptor, and they used that hollow bone as a dead letterbox. Isn't that what it's called?
That's possible, I suppose, but Shirley said that the man was wearing a thick coat. On a hot day, that's not a very good disguise if you want to blend in with the crowd, if you're a spy. And we've only the fortune teller's word that the person who went into her tent before Shirley was a woman.
Preston, what are you growling at?
Look, Shirley, is that the man you saw over there? He does look hot in that coat.
Here, missus, call your dog off.
Preston, I'm so sorry. Oh, clever boy, Preston. You are Harry Waters from the Daily Bugle, and I claim my £5.
At last. I was begging I was in this flipping coat.
Of course. Spot the face in the crowd and win a £5.
I knew your face was familiar. You must be so uncomfortably hot in that coat.
Well, they took the picture last week when it was raining, so I had to have my coat on. They wouldn't let me take it off now, the sun's out. Hard-hearted they are, the paper. I said it's only my face they've got to identify, not me coat. But do they listen? People kept looking at me as if I was some crank, dressed in a duffel coat in this weather. Well, here's your £5, missus. I'm off to have a appointment.
Oh, well, at least that's one mystery solved.
You have been listening to The Bone of Doom, a Prestin mystery performed by the Muddlarks drama group. Mrs. Shirley Hames was played by Steph, Martha Tillett was played by Sally, Arthur Parker, the Admiralty car driver, was played by Charles, Miss Jean Maple was played by Pat, Miss Penny Penfold was played by Zoe, Mrs. Roberts, the hotel receptionist, was played by Bev, the ice cream seller was played by Charles, Madame Rosa d'Argent, the fortune teller, was played by Cathy. Monsieur Pochard, the sculptor, was played by Owen. The woman was played by Brenda. Inspector Lestrange was played by Steve. The man was played by Charles. Preston and Molly appeared as themselves. And the episodes were introduced by Brenda.